Hey everyone, and welcome. You know that feeling when your applications start getting more and more complex, and it feels like you're just trying to tame chaos? Well, you are definitely in the right place. Today, we're diving into how you can bring some serious order to all that, using one of the most powerful tools out there, Azure Kubernetes Service. So let's start with the big question, the one that I think so many of us are dealing with right now. Our apps, they aren't just one single thing anymore, are they? They're these sprawling armies of tiny independent microservices. So how on earth do you manage an entire army of them? How do you keep them healthy and scale them up or down without everything just grinding to a halt? Well, the industry's answer to that exact problem is a little thing called Kubernetes. And maybe the best way to really get what it does is to think about an orchestra. Okay, so here's the official textbook definition for you. Kubernetes, or K8s if you're in the know, is basically an open source system that's all about automating how we deploy and manage our containerized applications. It's what handles getting them out there, scaling them up when traffic goes crazy, and just managing their entire lifecycle. But honestly, forget the textbook definition for a second. The best way to picture it is this. If all your little microservices are the individual musicians, Kubernetes is the conductor standing at the front of your digital orchestra. It's the brain of the whole operation. And think about it, right? The conductor doesn't actually play any of the instruments, but they're the one telling the violins when to come in, signaling the drums to get louder. They make sure the entire performance is perfectly synchronized. Well, that's exactly what Kubernetes does for your code. It coordinates every single piece to deliver a flawless service. Now here's the catch. Being a world-class conductor, that's an incredibly complex full-time job all by itself. And that's precisely where Azure Kubernetes Service, or AKS, steps in. It's built to make using all the power of Kubernetes much, much easier. So if Kubernetes is our conductor, you can think of AKS as the entire concert hall. I mean, it doesn't just give you that world-class conductor. It also handles the stage, the lighting, the security, all of that complicated stuff. And what that does is it frees you and your team up. You can stop worrying about managing the venue and just focus on what you do best, the music, which is, of course, your code. And this right here, this really lays it all out, doesn't it? On the left, you've got the DIY approach. You manage everything, including that super complex Kubernetes brain, the control plane. But with AKS on the right, Microsoft takes on that massive responsibility for you. They handle the updates, the security, the availability, and get this, they do it for free. That lets you focus purely on your apps. So how does this actually work in practice? Really, the best way to look at AKS is to see it as a partnership. It's a shared responsibility model between you and Microsoft. Now, take a look at how this work is divided up. Microsoft, they handle the really tough stuff, the control plane itself, and all the critical security patches and version upgrades that go with it. Let me tell you, that is a huge operational headache that's just gone. Your job is to focus on what makes your solution unique. The virtual machines your apps actually run on, we call those worker nodes, and of course, your application code, your data, and how you set up your networking. And this is a really crucial point, especially when you're thinking about security and control. While Microsoft is managing the brain, your actual applications are running on these worker nodes that live inside your own secure Azure virtual network. That means you get full control and a totally seamless integration with all your other Azure stuff. Okay, so that's all the theory, but what does this actually look like when you want to deploy something? Come on, let's walk through a really, really simple example. At its heart, it really just boils down to three main steps. First, you define your app in a little file called a deployment. That just tells Kubernetes which container it should run. Simple enough. Second, you define how people can access that app using a service file. And then third, and this is the magic part, AKS just reads that file and automatically sets up an Azure load balancer to connect your app to the internet. It's just incredibly seamless. So let's bring this all home. If you're already in the Azure world, why should you specifically go with AKS for your applications? What's the big deal? Well, for me, it really comes down to three huge, compelling reasons. First, it's that hassle-free management we keep talking about. Getting that control plane off your plate is just a massive win. Second is the deep native Azure integration. AKS isn't just bolted onto Azure, it's woven right into the fabric of it. It works perfectly with things like your virtual networks, Azure Active Directory, and monitoring tools. And finally, and I think this is the most important one, it frees up your team to focus on what actually matters, building incredible applications that create real value, not spending all their time just managing infrastructure.
And really, that's the bottom line. When you let the concert hall take care of the conductor, you empower your orchestra to create a true masterpiece. So, the question I want to leave you with is this. With all that complexity managed for you, what amazing things could your team build next?